Hello and welcome to Beheaded.
Welcome to Season 7, Episode 8.
I'm Megan Moore.
And I'm Elizabeth Black.
We're only on Episode 8?
Yeah, well, your tumor kind of took up some time in there. Are you surprised?
Feels like a long season.
Yeah, your tumor took up some time in there. Are you surprised?
We're normally like, we're April.
Okay, so our normal schedule, this is good for newbies to our show. We always start in October.
Yes, like Halloween.
Yeah, every season starts around Halloween, intentionally. We have 13 episodes, and we usually release them every 2 weeks.
Normally, when we're
able-bodied.
When we're disciplined and well-behaved women.
Yes. When we're good at life, we really release every 2 weeks.
I'm not good at life right now.
I'm sorry.
We're late again by the time...
Well, it's been busy. We've been doing things like...
We're busy people.
Like seeing movies and, reading.
We work.
And
you exercise.
St. Patrick's Day.
What do I do?
Life's hard.
Yeah. Literally, what have I done?
Yeah. Okay.
Week?
So we haven't seen each other in 3 weeks. Tell me about your life. You had a great haircut. She has a great haircut.
And I bought like a pour over coffee thing, like where you do coffee pour overs with the hot water instead of a Keurig, because it's more of a process to make your coffee.
Is it like that decanter looking
thing?
We have one of those. I've never used it.
I can show you.
Okay.
It's kind of fun. It smells really good when you do it. And then you kind of feel like a chemist a little bit, and you swirl it. And
is that dirty cleanup?
No, it's no dirtier than if you have a regular coffee maker with a filter.
Okay. Not a Keurig.
Not a Keurig.
That's too damn easy.
Because my husband said there's too much plastic.
That's really nice of him.
He's one of those.
I do. So I have a Keurig. Sad, sorry. I don't have a fancy coffee machine. We do the easy thing. But I do open up my K-cups and I scrape out the coffee grounds.
Okay.
So I put that in compost. So I will say that's not bad.
I should clarify. When I say my husband is one of those, he's not environmentally friendly.
Oh, what is he?
He's hypochondriac about his own body and is afraid of the microplastics he's consuming.
Oh, so this is not about the planet.
No, he doesn't give a shit about the planet. It's about his insides.
I'm opposite, where I care more about the planet, and I don't really something's gonna kill my body.
I am somewhere in the middle where I don't care about anything. Evidently, I'm just sure, whatever the new thing is, I'll do it. I'm cool.
I think that's a healthy way to approach life. I think in this day and age, everyone is so obsessed with the next thing and then junk science and whatever that people forget that moderation is probably key to most things. So I applaud you.
You also need to care though, and you need to have passions, but sometimes I need to care more. I know I do. It's a defect of mine. I'll own it. But Jake gets on the YouTube.
The YouTube, yeah.
Spirals. And I always know a change is coming in the household.
Based on his YouTube history? That's a good heads up. You're what does he search lately? And then you anticipate the next conversation.
And then the next morning he's we're throwing out anything that has sugar in it, or
wow,
anything that has this red dye is gone. And so I just kind of go with it. But I do have a secret cupboard
for your snacks.
Yes,
for your microplastics.
For my microplastics and my bad food. I call it my sinner's cabinet. Because it's all my chocolate covered things are in there.
You should put a little decal with old English font that's just Megan's Sinner's cabinet.
He knows about it at this point, but I still hide it.
The hiding is key. Makes you feel good.
You have to because otherwise this is gonna I've been on one with Jake all day, and this is probably not healthy to go on a podcast.
Let it out. We're also part-time therapists. To be clear, we will have a show after this about the actual people we're talking about.
We do talk about executions.
We talk about executions.
It's not my husband,
but we're kicking it off with some therapy for Megan. Go.
I've just been on one with him over every little thing.
Yeah.
I got so upset with him today because we're going on a little weekend trip. We're going back home to California for 4 days.
Yay.
For Easter.
Yay.
And his luggage is so big. It's just his actual carrying suitcase, shall I say.
So to be clear, because I've talked to you about this trip a bit. You were driving.
We're driving.
And you're mad that his luggage is large.
That sounds dirtier than I mean for it to be, but he just has this like massive piece of luggage for 4 days.
Are you
and I'm
taking
like,
your tiny car or his
no,
car?
we're taking the SUV.
So you have room.
We have the room, but it's about the aesthetic of this like giant piece of luggage. It bugs me.
I see.
It's not efficient.
What does he put in there? What does he need for 4 days?
God, if I know. Probably the stupid pour over coffee thing if I know him. So that was the first thing that annoyed
There's
me.
got to be something microplastic you can argue about his luggage. Like, hey, this is actually bad for you because of all the microplastics in your giant piece of suitcase.
I am not making this up. When he was starting to fail in his argument for why he needed it, other than it just makes him happy, he actually said to me at one point, men's clothing is bigger. I was like, no.
You can
Anyways,
only make that argument. If guys are listening to this, you could only make that argument if you are packing winter clothing. Like if you need boots and sweaters and more coats, I don't know why you would have more than one coat on a trip. But if you're that person, then you have the argument of my things are larger than yours.
We're going to the beach.
To be fair, like, you know, as a girl, you do have like shirts and blouses. Like you and I could pack both the shirts we're wearing into tiny little squares. I get that.
Okay.
We have smaller shoes. Maybe not you.
He does have. Oh my God. Everyone is on.
I'm kidding.
It's fine.
No,
it's
not. This is not shots fired. That was a cute little joke.
I am here. I am the one venting. I get it.
I'm just saying that argument only plays when you're going to a cold weather place. If you're going to California, if you're going to a beach, flip-flops, t-shirts, shorts, you have no excuse. Period.
That was how the day started. And then it just kind of went from there. But, you know, we all have those days where just every little thing.
I get that.
Rubs you the wrong way.
Yeah.
And anyways, where was I going with this? Oh, the cabinet. Yeah. So I have to have my secret cabinet of chocolate covered.
Like that.
I've got like chocolate covered pretzels in there.
Yeah.
I've got chocolate drizzled popcorn. I've got the hot honey popcorn. I have like 4 different kinds of popcorn in my cabinet.
And these are just your
my
specific snacks. So if he takes a snack, are you mad?
No, I'm not mad, but he is an all or nothing type of guy. And so if he starts on my hot honey popcorn, it will be gone. And I just nibble. I can make that last like for a month.
I don't know if this is a girl thing, but I feel like you and I are better at doing that, where we can have 1 or 2 bites and be so satisfied. And like, at least guys I know are not okay with that. Like you said, all or nothing, like entire bag, go to the store, get more, eat all of that. I'm like, yo, you can just have like 2 pieces.
Yeah.
2 pieces
you
a
get
day.
Like a box of cookies. They're all gone. He's like, I don't know where they went. I'm like, just, they sit on the couch and just like, you know, they keep going. But anywho, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be so negative.
No, you're not negative. This is a quick, funny story I have all the way back from Halloween, but similar to your thing of like all or nothing with boys. Me and Robbie were in the grocery store, and I love to get the Halloween Oreos, like the orange ones. They're literally no different.
They don't taste different.
No, they're not different.
Look ugly. They make your mouth ugly.
No, they're beautiful. They're beautiful Halloween colors, and they have little like bats on them or like pumpkins on them. They're my favorite thing to get during October.
They're so funny.
And we were there. It was probably like the last week of September, but they already had them. And I was like, oh, like we have to get these. And he was like, it's way too early to get the like Halloween Oreos. He's like, and you know, if we have these in the house, they're going to be gone.
Wait,
in
end
2
of
days.
November, end of September.
Yeah, is that what I said? What did I say?
I don't know.
Okay, I meant the week before October, so like the last week of September. And so I was like, all right, you're right. We'll wait. And we waited, and like I went back like a week later, you know, and like literally just went to get those. I was like, it's time for the Halloween Oreos. Gone, all sold out. They already had like Christmas Oreos or something, and I was like,
not the same.
And I went back and I was like, this is why I make the decisions. See,
it's always like the smallest thing. And you know what? We should be grateful if we are really irked over things that small.
Yeah,
means we don't have bigger things to be mad at. We're just mad that we don't have the bigger things to be mad at.
I'm not mad at that.
Oh, you're not?
I love that.
I'm mad for you.
I'm super happy I don't have bigger things to be mad at. Yeah, what do women in their 30s with no children talk about? The damn Oreos.
Okay, and we just lost half the listeners at this point.
Anyway.
Want to talk about some beheadings?
Sure.
Okay.
Are we just going to go straight into it? Do you have more stories to tell me?
I don't know. Is there anything you need to vent about besides the Oreos?
I guess tonight we have one focus in mind. And today, actually, as we're recording, is Good Friday. So it is the Friday before Easter. And I think we have a very relevant Easter topic. because tonight we're talking about the Carmelite Martyrs of Compiègne.
No, we were not going to talk about Jesus. And I know people still want that.
People still want a Jesus execution, and I have
Oh,
made it pretty clear we are going to stay away from that.
7 years later, we're just not ready for it. We did do John the Baptist around Christmas time.
We're
one
okay
year.
doing saints. I mean,
Saints are great
fine.
with saints.
I promise you, if we do a Jesus episode, we were going to do it wrong and get so canceled, no matter how we approach it. So we're gonna keep our little paws off of him. We love him. Can't do it. Sorry, everybody.
But we do like saints.
And we do have a really good nun episode tonight.
Nuns. What's the plural of nun? Yeah,
nuns.
Nuns.
Would you think it was gonna be nun guy?
like a gaggle of nuns.
Nunya. Oh, I see. Like what's it called with the ravens? Murder.
A murder.
Oh my
God.
Of
nuns.
This is a murder of nuns. Wow.
Is that the episode name?
We did not plan that. That was really good.
Murder of nuns.
Yeah, write that down. Murder.
Murder.
You have a cute little what is that called? Bookmark with an M on it for
murder. For murder. For Megan Moore. Murderous Megan Moore.
I love it. A lot of N's in your life.
There are. I can't.
You can't escape them.
Mayhem. I can't get my page open while holding my microphone.
I'm gonna let you do that. So, to get started in our story, I think it's really important we talk about the setting of the time, because a lot of times with our stories, we kind of just jump into who the character is, their early life, what they're about. This, I think it's more important to describe the context of where we're at in history before we get into anything. Plus, as Megan said, we're talking about like a group of nuns, so we can't just really focus on any one particular nun's upbringing. But this period of time is during the French Revolution. If you're new to the pod, new to the French Revolution, and you don't know the dates, we're talking about France between 1789 and 1799. So we're talking about a good decade there where we're overthrowing the French monarchy and the new French Republic is taking power.
To the revolution!
Yes. Viva la revolución, which I think is Spanish, but I'm going to say it anyway. So this specific point in history, we have 1790, and this is July of 1790, the new French Republic. They are the new revolutionary government who is overthrowing the monarchy. They just passed something called the Civil Constitution of the Clergy, which essentially outlaws a lot of religious life from happening. They're not saying you can't be religious, but what they're banning are taking monastic vows. Like you can't become a nun or I believe a priest. And the Catholic Church's lands are being confiscated. So if you've tuned into our show before or you know this just from your personal background, this happened a lot in England with like the desecration of the monasteries, right? Where like the Protestants are taking over and they're kind of destroying all of the Catholic churches. Similar to what's going on here in France at the time.
Don't you think they would have learned their lesson? Or
they never do.
Lesson, but to see history repeat itself, right?
They never do.
No one ever does.
No one ever learns from history. Why would you learn from history? It just shows you
what King Henry VIII did and how unhappy people were and the uprisings and the
exactly
whatever. And King Louis, like, was he for this or against this?
So King Louis is referring to Louis XVI. Louis XVI and his predecessor, Louis XV, who was his grandfather, they were very close to the Catholic Church. Back in this time, at least to the revolutionaries, the church and the monarchy were kind of seen as one, like wrapped together. And if we look back at Louis XV, again, Louis XVI's grandfather, thank you, his wife, she was really spending a lot of time with the Carmelite nuns. So the order, I believe, I don't know if their specific order was called the Carmelites, but she was taking a lot of her time to be with these nuns that were living close to where the palace was at the time. And she spent so much time with them, they even had a room for her when she visited. So the monarchy and this specific order of nuns were very close. And they helped each other out with like the nuns and the Catholic order really saw the king and the monarchs as having a divine right to rule. Like they are going to lead our country and they are chosen by God to lead our country. And in turn, the monarchies looked well on the faith. Like the faith keeps the country together. They keep people in line. They themselves are religious, so they want to continue this tradition of Catholicism. So the two really worked hand in hand. I'm sure there was a lot more nuances between them if you lived in the time, but to the revolutionaries, they were seen as kind of one in one, like hand in hand. All their decisions together were bad.
Mm.
So, so as I said, when the French Republic came to power, that's one of the first things that they did was they said, "Hey, let's end all of this religious fanaticism, as it were. They don't want anyone to, they don't want the Catholic Church to own all this land. They don't want people to have these monastic vows. So what they do is they say to everyone who's a nun or a priest or involved in the Catholic Church, they say to them, you must be loyal first to the French Republic, not to the
Mm.
papacy. So you're not to show your loyalty and support to Rome and the Pope. You support us."
Sounds very King Henry VIII. Like,
Exactly.
right?
Again, learn from history, everybody.
Think I've seen this film before. Hmm.
And I didn't like the
And
ending.
see, you did it, not
I
me.
know. I've been around you a long time.
My Swiftyisms rub off.
I like it. So honing in on our group of the evening, we have this community of Carmelite sisters, Carmelite nuns. They're in this commune that's just north of Paris. They date back all the way to 1641. So their
Hmm.
commune's been around for a while,
Mhm.
about 150 years at this point. And again, very much had the support of the old French government, the old French monarchy. But now it is 1790, and the focus of the French Republic is shifting to look specifically at this order. And what's one of the things that they do when they hone in on them?
Yeah. I mean, well, I this is such a cool story to me because I didn't even realize during the French Revolution,
Hmm.
tell me if I'm alone in this, I didn't realize that Catholics were so targeted through it.
I didn't either.
I, for some reason, always thought French Revolution and the Reign of Terror was primarily victimizing and executing politicians
Hmm.
and the aristocrats, not
Hmm.
aristocrats, because I want to say that every
The
time.
Oris
Uh,
still gets.
but the nuns, the priests, there was really this whole underground running of Catholicism happening because
Hmm.
people were so afraid of what was happening in the arrests and the executions.
Right.
So Bastille Day happens. We're now in 1790. And yeah, like Elizabeth said, something big happens where the government and the guards come and they go specifically to this convent of the Carmelite sisters and they start interviewing all of them individually. And pretty frightening. These are
Yeah.
women across a variety of ages.
Hmm.
Some of their youngest ones are still not haven't even taken their vows fully.
Like they're not even full nuns yet.
They're not even a real nun yet,
Yeah.
all the way up to 78 years old.
Hmm.
And that's got to be really daunting, right? To have these big government official type men coming in. They said that there was guards standing at the doors
Yeah.
and then taking them individually in a room one by one to interview them and understand what's been happening. They have this whole impression that the girls were being forced into these convents.
Yeah.
And like they were gonna come in and save them and help libertize, help
Liberate.
thank you,
Yeah.
help liberate all of these poor innocent girls who've been there since they were young and they just want to
Hmm.
be out and they don't know the real world and they never wanted to be there in the first place. They thought that they were going to come in and have like a completely different, like something to be mad about when they walked in.
Hmm.
And that was very opposite from the actual case. Every single one of the women, there was 20 in total,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Every single one of them said, I'm married to the Lord. I love this lifestyle. I vow my life completely to this lifestyle. I don't
Hmm.
want anything else. And they just reiterate their vows of what they live for. They were really forced with either denying their faith or pursuing further punishment,
Right.
which is really scary. But every single one of them refused to say anything negative about their faith
Hmm.
and what they stood for. They were all prepared to take further punishment if need be.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was like a little huddle.
Hesitation.
Yeah, hesitation,
Oh.
but also like they had to have all gotten on the same page in some level to kind of encourage each other. Like, don't let them scare you.
Hmm.
Our faith is stronger than anything.
Yeah.
Um,
I did see on a documentary, and I'm not sure if it was during these interviews or some point right after, but there was a nun or two that came towards the prioress, which was kind of like the mother superior of the order.
Mhm.
She was the head of the order, and essentially said, "Oh, this feels very drastic. Like for us to be denying the republic, and what if they kill us? Like, what if this ends at the guillotine?" And she was kind of like, "Yeah, what if it does? Like, what if we do die? Is that okay with you?" And at first they were scared, like the girls that were talking to her, and then they came back to apologize, like, "No, no, no, we're sorry. We're in the
We're
wrong.
ready for
Like, we will
this.
die for this religion."
Yeah,
Mhm.
Mother Teresa was the prioress at the time of the convent. I did look it up to see if the more modern day Mother Teresa, if she chose her, like,
Name.
nun
Yeah.
after this Mother Teresa, but she didn't. It's
Oh,
another.
darn.
I know there was another, nun in the later 1800s that she chose the name after.
Okay.
But regardless, they start going through these raids, right? And actually the raids are happening on Easter, which is why this feels like such relevant timing to be sharing this story.
Right.
And the yeah, Mother Teresa, it's weird to say Mother Teresa,
I
but
know.
yeah,
It's not that
it's
Mother
not that
Teresa.
Mother Teresa, but
Yeah.
Mother Teresa, she basically encouraged and suggested all of them to accept the sacrifice and allowed them to see the bigger picture of what they would be martyrized for, and
Mhm.
uh how important it was not to be afraid of death because there was, more life beyond.
Mhm.
And then there was more reasons though, like they had some prophetic reasons as well as to why she so strongly believed
They
we
did.
should probably just sacrifice ourselves.
Yeah, this was I didn't again, all of this is kind of, new to me in terms of how harshly the Catholics were treated during the Reign of Terror, but this was fascinating. So, Mother Teresa had told all of the nuns in her order, oh my gosh, there was a prophecy about all of this about 100 years ago.
Mm.
So 100 years ago, and I didn't write her name down, I wish I did, but there was another nun, I don't know if you wrote her
I don't
name.
think I wrote her name
Dang.
down.
Okay, but she came.
Probably Mary or
No, it was a very specific name.
Henrietta.
It was like Lucia or something, or Luis. No, but she came forward about 100 years ago, and she told all of her sisters. She said, "I had this vision, this dream, where there was not quite 20 of us." She was like, "It was a little like a few. There was all of our community there, but a few less." She's like, "And we were standing around like the Blessed Mother, and we were all holding palms in our hands, and we had just." Sacrificed something so large to be with her.
Wow.
Basically saying like something's going to happen, all of us are going to be involved. We all have to sacrifice something and we're all going to end up in heaven together. So is this like this very scary but also I guess calming image where
Mm.
they do something that might cost their lives, but they're all doing it together and they're all going to be in heaven together. So this was 100 years before. I mean, this is not they didn't even think about revolution. They were so uh tight with the crown, right? They were so like in lockstep with the monarchy. They
Yeah.
didn't need to worry about anything like this 100 years prior. But Mother Teresa remembered that recollection and remembered that dream and said, "Whoa, like this might be it." And we
This is
have we
us.
have that number of women here that might do something worthy of that sacrifice and worthy of a place next to the Blessed Virgin, and to Jesus Christ.
There's a lot of artwork depicting that dream
Yeah.
too. So I'll try to get some pictures and whatnot up on the Instagram.
On
Why do I say that
Instagram.
like such an old person?
I like that you do say
I
the
always say
YouTube,
the
the
YouTube, the
YouTube, the
Instagram. I'm
Instagram.
sorry.
I like it.
I'm sorry for who I am. Yeah, it was kind of this. You're right. I think calming's the best word, but it's like this soothing image that she gave all of them to kind of put their minds at peace of yeah, no, don't give in to these scary guards and men. Um, and also so much was happening in France outside of their outside of their walls of their convent.
Yeah, I mean, we already again talked about how Catholics in general were doing like everything underground. They had to do underground masses and things. And I didn't again realize this, but even things like Notre Dame were converted into something called like the Temple of Reason. Like it wasn't called Notre Dame because that translates to Our Lady, which obviously is about the Virgin Mary.
Mhm.
They changed the name of Notre Dame to the Temple of Reason.
I never knew
I
that. I'm
know.
sure a lot of people did listening to this, but I didn't realize.
We always just assumed, oh, French Revolution, they don't like the monarchy, they don't like the rich people running around in Versailles. But this specifically was intellectuals and revolutionaries standing up to the faith and the crown saying, "You guys are all fanatics and you're crazy and you've taken religion way too far. And now you're justifying the king being a divine being." They're like, "This is insane. Like, we're going to bring it back to an age of reason. Everything should be centered around like logic and science." And I think there was a big push for like atheism, like you shouldn't believe in any god.
Wow.
Yeah, and we should look a little bit more into Robespierre, who was one of the main revolutionaries. Like he was kind of pulling all the strings when it came to
Sure.
the executions and things. But I'm not sure if he was an atheist or if he just was trying to course correct to be like, oh, let's just believe in something called the one divine being. But they threw that out there. We're like, oh, instead of God, we're going to have this thing called the one divine being, and it's not God, but it's something different, and we have more science to back it up. Like I don't know, but there was this whole push by the intellectual community of like we've taken religion too far. And
Mm.
we have to strip it down and think about being again more logical, and everything was changed from Catholic full of like uh I guess like imagery and symbolism to now this like pared down approach to maybe religion, maybe just like science and reason. But it was really again, I didn't know this about the
I didn't
French
know that either.
Revolution. Yeah, that they hated the crown so much that faith was associated with it.
That's a pretty big leap. I never pictured a country going through a phase of promoting atheism over anything else. We always hear about Catholicism versus Protestantism,
Yeah.
across
Mhm.
the UK and Europe. And yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, this huge drive for atheism, right? So in August 1972 was when they ordered all women monasteries to be closed. And
Mm.
this is when things really start heating up. Shortly after September 12th, that's when they start raiding specifically the Carmelite convent, right?
Yeah.
I'm saying that right? Okay.
Mhm.
September 12th, they get all their furniture taken out. They basically get raided. They get everything removed. 2 days later, on September 14th, because in the middle on September 13th, they celebrated my birthday.
They took time to recognize Megan's birthday. They said,
September
in a
13th.
couple hundred years, this very special lady is gonna be born with a nice haircut."
Sorry, I'm such a self-centered person that like do you do that too when you see
Of
famous
course I
you
do.
see dates pop up and I'm like, that's my
Oh,
birthday.
yeah, King Henry VIII is the day before my birthday, his birthday, and
Oh.
every time I'm like, "Oh, it's his birthday," which is my birthday eve, it's about me.
Well, this was also about me.
Yeah.
On September 14th, 20 nuns were all kicked out. So they
Yeah.
have no home. They have to leave the convent. I should mention too, I did skip over one detail.
Mm.
Prior to them actually being kicked out of the convent, in between that time of the interviews to this point when they got kicked out,
Yeah.
they were considered wards of the state.
Alright.
They weren't they weren't prisoners, right?
Yeah, not
They weren't
really.
arrested formally, but they were considered wards of the state, and they were actually receiving pensions from the government.
They
That's how they were
were,
getting funded still.
because the church turned into a state department. So
Yes.
like, again, they weren't really saying like, "Oh, we're getting rid of religion entirely." They turned it into like a branch of government or like a yeah,
It's odd. It's
a
very cold
department.
feeling.
Mhm.
However, they said the year prior, they said, if you refuse to sign this oath, basically giving up your faith,
Right.
this oath over to the civil constitution,
Mhm.
that they were going to pull the funding and not give them their money and they wouldn't have a
Mm.
pension anymore. So, I mean, that didn't scare these ladies. They're like, fine, then we'll leave. So they all got kicked out.
Well, it's not like nuns lead super luxurious lives, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you need food and
They do,
clothing
they
and
do.
housing, and
But I think they were very reliant on their community,
they were.
even if it was a secret community. And Mother Teresa was really great about arranging where these women would go. So she divided everyone kind of evenly in between four different households. I think she put the most vulnerable in one household with her. So it was like the youngest, which was, I think, Constance was her name, and the oldest. Like she put everyone who was in her mind who she deemed the most like at risk
Mm.
to be with her, and then she divided the rest into other houses. So they had to get civilian clothes. They weren't allowed to wear their habits, like their nun outfits. But they did continue to practice community prayer together. And they did even have a man who was performing as a priest and, being very clandestine and secretive. And he was doing these secret masses for them, I
Hmm.
think daily.
They refer to him as a non-juring priest, so he was
Yeah.
even married. So
Hmm.
he wasn't your standard priest, but it was better than nothing to have someone to turn to.
Exactly. June 1794. So it's about 2 years later that they'd been, I guess, in
Pretty
these
decent.
secret houses. But these apartments were then searched, of course. Apparently, the Republic was onto them. So the nuns, they get arrested because they are found to possess all these certain things. And the things that they had were so silly. Like, of course, ex nuns would have these things. But what they found symbols of the Sacred Heart, which is like this special religious Catholic symbol. It's like a little heart with, I think, a cross over it. They found that imagery. They found hymns about the Sacred Heart. They found letters that might have had unfavorable criticism of the revolution, which
Oh.
again, I mean, they're not plotting, they're not
No,
creating these
they're
big
very
schemes.
innocent.
Yeah. And they, oh my gosh, found a portrait of the king.
Oh,
Not
no.
the
We don't like
king.
him anymore.
No. King Louis the 16th, they found his portrait, and this was enough damning evidence to be like, I knew it, you guys still like the monarchy.
Well, they kinda did one other thing too that gave them away,
What was
that they
that?
were still
Oh,
practicing their religious
you
life.
love this, yeah.
The day of the raid, it's laundry day. It's a Thursday. The nuns are doing their laundry, and evidently they only had 2 sets of clothing. One was their civilian clothes that they were supposed to be wearing to show that they weren't practicing nunnery life anymore, and then the other set of clothes were their nun habits. And so
Nice.
they wear their nun uniforms, their nun outfits, while doing their laundry outside. And they don't even have the, like,
That's like a bad movie. Like,
at least
"Oh, whoops.
rotate.
We're all in our nun
At least,
habits."
like, maybe one person go out and do it, or they can, like, change clothes around. They can borrow someone's little outfit to not
Yeah,
wear an because that kinda stands out like a sore thumb. But in this one documentary we were watching on this,
yeah.
the way they described it as that they were all kinda gathered around singing and doing laundry
Washing.
and washing and wearing their habits, which is a giveaway. So
Oh, yeah.
who knows to the extent of how true that is? I just find it really far fetched that they were so careful for 2 years and they're all just wearing their nun
Well, it
outfits
reminds me,
together.
you know me and my Disney references, but it reminds me
Please
of
share.
Sleeping Beauty, where they're
Mhm.
like, make sure she's kept away for 16 years. And then on her 16th birthday, she's allowed to come back. And it's like on her 16th birthday, they're like, you're a princess. Here's your gown. We're taking you back. And it's like she's the most obvious target
Wearing a crown,
wearing a
walking through
crown.
the forest.
Yeah, and it's like, yo, didn't you say the sunset of her 16th birthday? Like, why couldn't you have taken her the day after she turned 16? They're like, the whole kingdom had a party on the day of her
Or
16th
they
birthday.
decided to use all their magic the
Yeah,
day before to get caught.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
very similar.
I know.
That's what
So
this felt like to me as
it's
well.
like you couldn't have waited one
Just
day,
just
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 one.
don't wear them all together at once.
Exactly.
They're all arrested.
Hmm. They're locked up in the convent of the Visitation, which was kind of like a improvised jail, I think, in Compiègne, if I'm saying that right. And it was a place for political prisoners. So obviously, it wasn't just people that were religious still practicing; it was anyone who was opposed to the French Republic.
Mhm.
So they were thrown in there, and then about a month later, they were transferred to the Conciergerie prison in Paris, and that's where they awaited trial.
Yep.
And I believe their entire time between arrest and trial was about like 3 weeks, I want to say.
It's very short. I read
Hmm.
26 days.
Okay,
Is
yeah.
really a pretty quick turnaround. I also wanna mention, so there was 20 nuns originally.
Hmm.
3 of them were away visiting family.
As one
Mm.
does with
Um,
large suitcases.
with very large luggage,
Yeah.
to carry their habits. One I mean, I would just assume all 4 like, 4 of them were off. So in
Hmm.
total, they arrested 16 nuns. They also arrested their will-be priest at the time. His name was Mulot, Mulot. I think
Hmm.
I'm saying that correctly.
Sounds right.
So they were all arrested together, and they were kind of a happy bunch in prison, though.
They were. I think they had come to terms with the fact that they might all go to the scaffold at some point years ago. Like
Mhm.
when the Reign of Terror first was starting, I think they realized, oh, it's most likely going to be us. And we know this divine vision, we know this dream. We might all die together.
Yeah.
So weirdly, they were all strangely at peace with this so early. Like they were all in prison together and they were singing hymns. I think one woman even like wrote a new song.
They were getting creative.
They were, and I think it really helped them because they were all together, all with the same faith and the same path that they were like, there's no room for doubt. Like
Right.
there's no room for being scared. Like we're all here together enduring this and we're gonna make the best of it because we're gonna meet our Lord soon. Like we're doing this for God. We're doing this for a purpose.
Talk about some optimism.
For
I
real.
bet that also rubbed off on the other prisoners that they were with
Oh
because they
yeah.
kinda got everyone like, "Guys, we're at the end of the show here. It's been a miserable, hard, like, terrible time.
Hmm.
Literally, we're in the reign of terror right now. Like,
Yeah.
this show is almost ending for us, and there's something better waiting on the other side."
Hmm. And the trial officially began July 17th. And of course, the nuns were given no legal counsel.
Mm.
The main charge was as I said before, the fanaticism, which is such a silly thing to say to somebody. It's like, and one nun, Sister Mary Henrietta, even forced the prosecutor to define what a fanatic was.
It's a pretty good legal move,
Well, I know
right?
it's like
Kinda catch them in their own
for
words.
having no legal counsel. She's like, okay, what is fanaticism?
She acted kinda dumb about it. She's like, "No, truly, I don't know what it means. I wanna understand what I'm being accused of."
Mhm. And I don't have the exact words of how he defined it in front of me, but he essentially said, "Well, you're still practicing your religion, your faith." And she was almost happy to hear that response because she was like, "Great, that means I'm dying for God, and I'm happy to do
Yeah,
so."
you basically define me as a martyr because you're saying I am a fanatic for my Lord,
Mhm.
and you wanna kill me over that.
Thank you.
They were also accused of maintaining their community life.
Right.
So, I mean, that goes hand in hand with it, right? But
Mhm.
they were very strictly instructed, "Don't do your nunnery business anymore.
None
Don't
of that
do
none of that nun nonsense.
none of that nonsense." They didn't want them praying at their altar, and they had an altar.
I
I
imagine.
imagine. Sorry,
Secret
I'm
one.
like I'm part of this. I'm envisioning in my mind what it would have looked like in their apartments of
Yeah.
how they were still going about their day to day duties as a nun, just not dressed as one, unless
Mhm.
they were doing laundry. God, those
You
like
hate
I
that.
really want to empathize with them, but it's like, ladies,
Ladies, on the same day,
on the same
all
day
of
you're
you.
doing this, you're all singing together. Why am I picturing like
Sound of Music?
a turtle that they're like like cleaning against the turtle like in
Oh,
Snow White?
Snow White when they're doing the laundry well, the animals are doing the laundry.
Yeah, that's what I'm picturing for some reason. I know
Very
that
cute.
wasn't the case, but
Um,
here we are.
Mother Teresa was also trying to claim full responsibility because she wanted to do everything she could to spare her sisters.
Mm,
So she kept saying, if anyone is responsible for fanaticism, it's me. Like, if you want to point to anyone who's led these girls astray and is, encouraging the daily community and the daily mass, it's me.
mm.
So if you want to make an example of me, that's fine. Like, let everyone go. They're all following me. But I mean, back in this day, these trials were not real trials.
It was for show.
They weren't trying to assess who was really guilty, who was maybe guilty of some things and not others, and who was not guilty. It was like as soon as you went to trial during the Reign of Terror, they had enough on you to just be like, "Yep,
Yeah,
execution."
as soon
They
as
had,
you're arrested, you pretty much know
yeah,
where this is gonna end.
and they had, I mean, at this point, they had the guillotine invented, right? So this is a quick, easy way to kill so many people in quick succession. Like you don't need much. You're like, yep, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead. Go line up, go to the guillotine, done.
Thousands of people
So
died
many.
in this way.
Yeah. There was one nun who also was fainting at the
Mhm.
trial, and, there was, oh, this is maybe where I got the name before, but Sister Saint, Louis, she bartered her fur coat, she's wearing this fur coat, for some cups of hot chocolate. So she said, "We can't be fainting. We're not gonna" she's like, "We haven't eaten, we've been in prison, but we're not gonna faint and people accuse us of being cowards. We're not gonna look like we're scared." So she bartered her coat for some hot chocolate to give everyone some strength and get their
It's kinda
yeah,
nice.
get their physical form up, I guess.
Well, to Elizabeth's point, because this was such a quick process, as soon as they were verdict was guilty, sentence was death, that was pretty immediate.
Yeah.
They knew that they were getting ready to get picked up and go over to the guillotine.
Mhm.
So it not only was it, of course, giving them their physical strength to face death, but also she no longer needs the coat. She's doing something now for everybody else.
Right.
They're in the cart, like this image of them sipping their hot chocolate. It's
Mhm.
like their final meal. I don't
Yeah.
want to call it a meal, but their final treat that they're getting.
Their last supper.
Yeah, their last like earthly treat to enjoy. So it's kind of a sad image. I don't
Yeah.
know why that like upsets me so much. Just the chocolate. It's
I
just
know.
it like pulls at your heartstrings a little bit, you know?
And the fact that again, they sang while they were imprisoned. They all had each other's backs, like, they were all going down together, and then they have this kind
Yeah.
of final thing together of such an innocent, cute thing
Yeah, of sharing
of
chocolate.
sharing
Sipping
chocolate.
chocolate.
Yeah, it's
Never
like
gonna have sipping chocolate the same now.
I know. I told Megan because there's this cute picture of the nuns like sipping their little cups of chocolate. I'm like, oh, I want that over my coffee bar. Like, everyone's
They
like,
look so happy. It was
there's
like a watercolor picture. It wasn't like a photograph.
no, no. It was
They
like
didn't have that.
beautiful artistic representation. And I was like, but then people are going to ask me, like, oh, what's this photo? I'm like, oh, it's two women about to be executed. And it might
It's a
lead to
dark
dark
turn. You know
conversation.
what? Half our conversations turn out like that. We're used to
Yeah,
it.
you know me.
But this cart that took them from the courthouse to where the guillotine was, it was far. It was an hour and a half drive
Cart?
by cart.
Yeah, that is far.
That is far.
It was the Place de la Nation, which is where they were headed towards.
They didn't want to take them to the main one where most of the executions happened and where the guillotine was set up because
Yeah, which I think is where the modern day Louvre is.
Mhm.
It's like the
where those
Tuileries or something.
yeah, where those we've talked about it before on the show, but where those Egyptian pillars are.
Mm-hmm.
Plaza.
It's not Plastic Grave.
Yes.
That's not it. The main one?
I thought no, we should look it up.
Okay.
We got books in front of us. I wonder if it says it in there.
I'm sure there's a map right in the page we're going to turn to.
um what was the reason why they didn't want to take the not because of crowds.
No,
Not
no,
because
no.
of crowds. They wanted to avoid the main guillotine.
The streets were too bloody to take them to the main area. They had been doing so many executions during the Reign of Terror, back to back to back, that literally, like, I think the word was like engorged. Like the streets were
That's
engorged with blood.
disturbing.
They were like, oh, it's too messy over here. Let's take them to
We don't want
somewhere.
to trail the blood around.
Yeah, like a little more low key for
we
hygiene.
need to clean this area up first and then they'll be back in business.
Yeah.
They were executing hundreds of people at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
You
sick.
imagine, like, as a spectator, like, even if you hated the crown and you hated the way things were going in France before, like, why would you cheer for this? This is horrific. This is one of the worst things.
Disturbing. It says a lot about human nature.
I think it says a lot about mob mentality.
Yes. And like following along with the trends because
Yeah.
everyone else is into. But here's the thing, that's like binge watching a TV show. And it could still be the best TV show. Even if the sickest person in that crowd loved watching a good execution because
Right.
he's a sick monster, that's a lot to have to watch. I think like crowds
Yeah.
would disperse. They would get over it.
Yeah.
By like the 50th one, you're like,
Does it desensitize you to death?
oh, I think so.
Yeah.
I think that whole machine desensitized people to actually what they were doing, that they
Ugh.
were chopping off their heads so
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah. One after another.
Oh, it makes me queasy thinking about it.
I know. But the sisters themselves showed zero fear. Literally, from the time they were on their carts, they were singing hymns. And the time that they got to the scaffold, to the execution site, they were continuing to chant and to pray. There was even one woman who, when she was being like let off the cart, Sister Charlotte,
Mm-hmm.
she was 78, and she was really struggling. Like, she had to walk with a crutch, and when she was getting up, her hands were bound, and she was already kind of unstable. So she fell over, and a guard was like impatient with her and threw her to the ground.
Oof.
So she ended up like face planting on the ground, and she bloodied her face, but she laid there for a few minutes, and then she got up and she told the guard, like, thank you for not killing me. She basically said something to the effect of like, I want to die here with my sisters and have this community experience. So thank you
Ugh.
for not killing me.
This is where it gets even heavier. So all 16 of them are prepared to die.
Mhm.
Um, the prioress, Mother Teresa, made a special request that they did agree to that she would be last, not because she was afraid,
No.
but because she wanted to see all of them through.
She also had this tiny figurine.
Yes, the figurine.
Yeah, she held this it's this tiny small statue of the Virgin Mary. So each woman that was there, they first of all, they were like there to renew their vows as well. So they were all kneeling in front of her, renewing their vows out loud, and they were asking for her permission to die.
Oof.
So she was praying over every single nun, saying, thank you for your vow renewal. Yes, you have permission to die. And they were all kissing this tiny figurine of the Virgin Mary. And normally crowds in this era, especially during Reign of Terror, were like super loud and annoying and, shouting terrible things and maybe throwing things or whatever, being so unruly. This crowd was absolutely silent.
You know what? Good. They
Hmm.
have show a little bit of respect.
Yeah, for your immortal soul.
Oh man. Constance, the youngest one, she went up first. And
Mhm.
this is what kind of sends shivers down my spine. They're all singing together.
Yeah,
And then they're still singing as they put their head into the guillotine. And then, of course, they're abruptly cut off by the blade.
right.
And everyone's still continuing to sing the hymns of the 16 women. But as one by one, they start going down
Start getting
and
quieter.
losing their heads. Yeah, the
Mhm.
choir softens until there's only, like, 5 and then 4 and oh,
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 until it's just Mother Teresa.
singing by herself. Why
Yeah.
am I, like, gonna get emotional over this? This is a sad
This
one.
is a very sad.
Oh, this reminds me of the Sophie Scholl episode too. That one was another, like
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
right, I think 'cause of the
Especially
guillotine part of it.
they talked about how fast and efficient the guillotine was.
Mhm.
So Mother Teresa was the last one. And of course, because of this era, they're just buried heads and bodies into this mass grave. There's probably 120 something, 130 something bodies in this
Yeah.
mass grave. So to this day, they don't really have any relics of these women. They don't have any bones, clothing, like nothing to show their last moments. What they do still have that they found, they said that Mother Teresa gave her small statue of the Virgin Mary to someone in the crowd. And apparently historians have recovered it. So
Mhm.
now you can actually see it if you go to, I don't know where they have it now.
It was in the crypt at the convent, but is it the same convent?
Is it the Carmelite
I
convent?
think it
I
is.
think it is.
Yeah, it's the same nuns who
Right.
who go down there and pray
I think you're right. So they have this small room in the basement and it has a tiny statue, the statue that
in a
all of the
case.
nuns
Yeah.
kissed, which is the only kind of surviving thing of this terrible day. And it wasn't until 2024 they were actually canonized. So this is a super new relevant
It's
story.
2 years ago.
Yeah. It took them so long, and we watched this great documentary. It's called Blessed or Blessed. It's all in French, but it has English subtitles. And they talk about it goes back to the history of the nuns, but then it goes back to current day where they're kind of petitioning to be canonized and saying, "Hey, these nuns sacrificed their lives. Like, can you please give them this religious nod?" And typically, I didn't know this, but
Hmm.
in order to be canonized and to be considered a saint, you have to have performed miracles.
Oh,
So these
really?
Yeah, so these nuns had
Did, like,
to
Thomas More
well,
perform
that's what I was
miracles?
wondering. I was like, wasn't Thomas More saint? I don't know. Or he was at least
Questionable
canonized, martyred.
evidence.
Maybe there's a difference between like martyrdom and
There's gotta
canonization.
be.
You
Well,
know,
canonization okay,
isn't canonization becoming a saint?
y I could be wrong, and I might
Okay,
sound really dumb right now.
maybe we do.
I'm gonna make some people roll their eyes.
Correct us.
I thought being canonized was, like, pardoning them of whatever they were accused and found guilty of, so that they have a clear name,
Oh,
but I might be wrong.
I I think I just wrapped all those words into one. Like I thought if you were a martyr, you were also canonized and you also were sainted.
You know what? We're gonna do some research, and that's what this podcast teaches us, that when we think that we know things and we realize we don't know things,
It's
we're
helpful
gonna go and look it up
and
after.
we'll teach you next time.
Yes,
But they
maybe.
were yeah, maybe
Send me a direct message
if
and
we
I might
remember. If I don't
reply.
write it down right now, I'm gonna forget. But they were all 16 recognized as saints. So they, whatever you want to call it, canonized, martyrdom, they were all recognized as saints by the church,
Cool.
by Pope Francis in 2024. And one way the modern day nuns in this documentary argue that even if the, I guess, threshold was performing miracles, they had all of these letters from people around the world who through their letters, but they were proving that, hey, like I prayed to these nuns
Mhm.
and then my disease was cured, or I prayed to these nuns and someone they knew, came out of poverty or something. They basically had all these examples, just these testimonies saying, "Hey, this they might have not performed a miracle in their lifetime, but I prayed to them and I've seen miracles because I
Yeah.
prayed to them." So they use that as a lot of the, I guess, fodder to show the current pope like, wait, no, he's not current, but
No, we're on to Leo.
we're on to Leo now, but
R.I.P. Pope Francis.
yeah, R.I.P. Pope Francis. But he was the one that officially, had them canonized, made them saints, and they had this big ceremony for them. So they officially are saints now. Pray
That's
to them,
sweet. It's kind
and
of like a happy ending for how terrible it
it
was. I
was.
like ending on a better note like that.
Well, and one cherry on top, Robespierre, the guy we talked
Oh,
about,
yes.
the guy who was behind all of this reign of
He
terror,
loved the guillotine.
he was himself executed by guillotine 10 days after the
Just
nuns were
10
executed.
days.
A lot of people think because of these nuns, it was like the end of the reign of terror. Not officially, but they
Yeah.
think this is what officially was the climax of it. And we're like, okay, we can't go on
Like, did
like
we go
this.
too far?
Yeah. So only 10 days later, Robespierre, mastermind,
Wow.
done.
There's a cafe in Paris. What's it called?
Which one?
The
Le
one that,
Procoupe?
yep, Le Procoupe.
Yay.
That they say Robespierre, that was like his hangout spot.
Yeah, there's so many famous people who went to that cafe.
Hmm.
Ben Franklin, um, Napoleon,
Jefferson.
yeah, Thomas Jefferson.
All the Americans were there. So were we.
It was like, yeah,
That's why we showed up.
I love that
But
place.
anyways, I like the history of that restaurant, and there's a lot of history in that restaurant that it's like literally in the menu. You could read about it,
Mhm.
but they talk about how it was surviving through the French Revolution, and it's like the oldest restaurant in Paris.
It is.
And I remember seeing how I was like, "Oh, was Robespierre in this room I was in right now?"
Probably.
Yeah.
I always think that, like, when you sit at a certain table, you go, "Oh, were they here in this spot?" Obviously,
Hmm.
tables have changed
Or
and
like
things.
walking up the
But yeah, walking up the
staircase,
stairs, like touching the railings or like going even to the restroom. I don't even know if they had the right
the
plumbing for a
loo. I
restroom.
think it was probably outside.
But yeah, certain parts are like, "Oh, they touched this," or at least something near this.
Yeah,
They
it's
were in
cool.
this
Very
space.
cool.
Yeah.
Um, that was a good one. I'm glad you brought that up. I thought I'd never heard of it before.
Me
You gotta
neither.
get it. We keep finding these executions,
Yeah.
and people, thank you who keep sending us ideas and recommendations.
Mhm.
And
What's funny about a lot of these executions is, I feel like I always research, like, someone I've written down, like, "Oh, I'm gonna research this one." And while I'm researching that one, I
mm,
feel like 3 others pop up. And then I'm like, "Oh,
our list
let's
keeps
do this one."
growing.
Yeah.
I really thought that we would have like we'd be running out of ideas soon.
We'd make it to season 5.
Yeah, shockingly.
I know.
But this was, I think, a very appropriate story for Good Friday, and
For Easter.
it'll be post Easter once the episode gets out. But we're in the spirit of it, so
In the spirit of Easter, in the spirit of the French.
mhm.
Yeah, this was a good one. Definitely pulled at the heartstrings a bit, because sometimes we talk about bad people that kind of deserve their punishment. This
Yeah,
was
we need a
this,
mix. Sometimes we're
yeah.
like, "Well, this guy was an idiot." Yes, I know their laundry escapade was a little bit. I'll get
Why is it
over it.
always
I'll
laundry?
get over it,
Like
but
the
no,
Mr. Toad story.
I do feel for these, right? I do feel for them.
Yeah.
Elizabeth,
Mm.
any final words?
Vive la France. I like that. I don't even know if that's how you say it.